Anyway, welcome back to the digital workshops for 2026. I wanted to start this year's program of content off with something a little bit fun and creative to get us back into the swing of things. So I thought we'd take a look at specifically videos, better videos, and how to make them. Because I think we've done a lot of stuff in terms of our video content now in the managed estate, as well as cross pub partners, in terms of we've done sort of the funny videos, the relatable videos, and they're great. But I think there's a question around, how do we take the videos that we're making and sharing on social media, and how do we really make them work for consumers? How do we build trust with consumers? How do we get them along that customer journey that we've spoke about in the previous workshops? And I think we've all seen throughout 2025, specifically with Chris and Becky, they've put a lot of work in with the pub highlights. And there's a thing there around, I think we've all got the tools really to create these more sort of fleshed out videos. Um, and so we're going to get down into a little bit more of the nitty gritty of that today. So, in terms of today's agenda, we're going to have a look at, why should we make these better videos? What's the case for doing it? We'll look at some content pillars, different styles of videos that we can do. We'll look at some tools that we can use to really elevate the video that we make, some best practice and tips and tricks around how to make them perform really well. And then there's going to be a practical task, and I will warn you that this practical task is going to be a lot more um, involved than previous ones. So I'm going to try and fly through the first half of this quite swiftly in a way, because it's really sort of covering the basics, and then over to you guys to get you to sort of have a go at doing something creative and fun. So I hope everyone's ready and prepared for this, because I think in the messages that have gone out in the bulletin, I did ask you to pre-download and install one of two apps on your phone for this, for the practical task side of this workshop. For anyone who hasn't, I would like you to download and install on your phone either CapCut or Instagram edits. And I've conveniently placed some QR codes to the App Store pages, whether you're on Google Play or on Apple iOS, to both of these apps. It really doesn't matter which one you use, whichever one you prefer to have a go with, that they kind of basically do the same thing. All right, cool. So just as well, just to refresh, this all ties into our customer journey in terms of the sales and marketing funnel that we've talked about previously. So just to refresh on that, we have the awareness stage. This is where people discover information about your pub. They see it on social media, or they might drive past and see a Corex outside the pub. They might see a post that's gone into a local Facebook group, or it might even be through word of mouth. Something has brought you into their sort of field of awareness, and then they move through into the consideration phase. Should I book a table? Should I book a function? Do I go in for a pint? What's on in the local area that would make me go to that pub? And so that's when the consideration stage goes through to the conversion or purchase stage, where they'll have booked a table, and then it's about retaining them as a customer and ultimately getting them through into the advocacy stage. And so in terms of video content, it's sort of there's a big argument to sort of suggest that it's actually quite front loaded in terms of creating awareness, as particularly with these short form videos, because as we'll get into in a little bit, they surface quite heavily with people that don't already follow your business on social media. They're like a discovery mechanism, which is why we think that the pub highlight format works really well for communicating what it is about your venue that makes you worth visiting, makes you unique, makes you offer some sort of unique value to customers to get them through to that purchase stage. But also, this content plays a really important role in the retention and advocacy stage. Advocacy being when people are so enamored with your pub, that you've wowed them at every stage of the journey, that they then feel compelled to tell people about you, either through commenting on your content, sharing your content. So it again creates this feedback loop of, if you've done if we've done the all our job properly from this stage, I'm making a mess of this now, but from this stage all the way through to this stage, it creates this cyclical feedback loop. So, and having that really good content is just going to make it more impactful. So there's a little bit there around the sort of the why there again. So, in terms of why video, some reasons, some interesting sort of takeaways for this. We know that from consumer research that and basic industry info that social media videos specifically earn 12 times more shares than text and image posts combined. And it's part of that ongoing trend. Video is just much more engaging, it's more shareable. And particularly with things like TikTok and the Reels feed on Instagram, a lot of the engagement that happens on Instagram now is very much in the direct messages part of the app. People will see a reel that they either think it's funny or that there's something that they want to do. They want to get friends together at a venue. They'll send it to someone. They'll just tap that little paper aeroplane and send it to either to their group chats that they've got or to each other. And that's where a lot of that engagement is happening. So shareable content, video is leading the way there. 78% of consumers prefer short video content when learning about products and services. So keeping it to a short runtime, packing as much value in as short space of time as possible. A video is really good at doing that because you're not asking people to read a lengthy paragraph. You can present visual and audio cues to people to basically sell them on an idea in hopefully under 30 seconds. And this is the preference that consumers have, 78% of them. And so, as I was saying, short form videos they're surfaced in discovery feeds, which means when people are opening those Reels tabs or they're opening TikTok and they're scrolling through, they're scrolling through, they're scrolling through. A lot of the times, it's not accounts that you follow; it's accounts that the algorithms that are being used think that you might be interested in based on your interests. So it's not so much content for your followers, it's content to help you get discovered. And we see that in a lot of the insights that come through, like particularly with pub highlights videos that we've done, we see that the split is very much leaning towards people that don't already follow us, helping new people discover our businesses. So it's all about discovery. And visitors, they're using social feeds as a search engine now to find information about things to do. So people are going on social media and specifically typing into the search bar, either on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or wherever it might be, looking for things like Cascale pubs or pubs that do pubs with beer gardens, pubs that are dog friendly. So having those sort of keywords in our content when we add the captions or when we create the content, creating that content that really tells people why they should care about your pub. People are using social media now just as equally as they are with like traditional search engines like Google. But also as well, recently Instagram made a change. They've now worked with Google to where Instagram posts now can surface in Google search. So if you've got some really good keywords in your captions on your content, there's a chance that it could show up in a Google search as well as an Instagram search. So it's all these reasons why we should be doing these videos. And for a little bit of insider info, a little bit of insight from the central JW Lee's channel, when we look through the most popular content that we shared centrally from the JW Lee's account in 2025, the top performing video in terms of overall reach up here was this pub highlight about I think it was the Old Boar's Head, England's oldest pub. Supposedly, there's a lot of pubs that claim this. I think we had some good data to support that. I'm not going to dispute that. But we had this reel about England's oldest pub, and then I mean stuff like this. It's always going to do well. But then a lot of these other videos, opening reels, refurb reels, they're all reels as you can see, and a lot of them are all sort of pub focused. So there's a lot of. I mean, we've got 78,000 people here, 28,000 people here. Um, and quite a lot of really good engagement across all these. So there's a good argument for why we should be doing this. So I've been talking for quite a good chunk now. I don't want this to all be just me talking. So I'm going to open it up to the group now for anyone to sort of give a bit of input from their side. When you go on social media, as many of you do, what are some of the videos that make you stop scrolling on social media, or what are some of the videos that make you tap that share button and send that content to a friend. It could be anything, doesn't have to be related to pubs, but let me put your hand up if you've got something to share, or I'll just pick on someone. Quite happy to get people involved here. Sheldon Arms, tell me.
Hi, okay. I've not got my camera on, 'cause I'm doing it at home. I'm not being rude. The videos where you film how the meal is made. So, like, for example, we did like a salmon sizzler one, and like it had a good amount of shares on it to the friends, but I would send that to my friend as well if I like saw how a food was made.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And what is it that you like about that content? What do you think it is that you find interesting about it, or that other people find interesting about it?
It's just nice to see how it's like made behind the scenes instead of just a picture of the meal on a plate. It just makes it more like engaging instead of just like a random picture of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot more interesting. There's a lot more storytelling going on there. You get to see a little bit of the skill of the kitchen team at work. It sort of helps you build that confidence with consumers that that the venue knows their stuff when it comes to food and all that good stuff. That's a really good example. Any more for any more before I pick on someone? Don't be shy. Let's go. Oh, we've got Neil. Neil, tell me what you like.
Something funny, something that makes you laugh, something that you like. I know somebody who'd like that, and you'd share it with them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we all see those videos. Those of us that go in for the scroll. I think we see those videos sometimes, and a friend or a particular person will pop in. I know for me personally, a particular person will pop into my head, and I'll be like, I know they'd really get a good kick out of that, and I'll send it to them. So that's yeah, really good point. Michelle, what have you got?
I think also something that you can relate to as well. Obviously, the funny scenarios is good, but I think definitely funny and if you can relate to it as well.
Yeah, and what would be some examples of that, do you think?
Somebody else who's in your position, in your job role, things like that.
Yeah, something where you can put yourself in that person's shoes and sort of appreciate the way that they feel about a particular thing, whether it's positive or negative or just hilarious one or another. No, I definitely agree. Um, anyone else? Anyone got any other sort of things that they see that they like to share with people? Oh, rain bar.
I think just anything new. So like if it's new, any like in terms of pubs, just new seasonal or new menu item. I think that's the only thing I think of just like worth sharing kind of things.
Yeah, like a new could be like a new spin on like a particular type of dish, like a particular new approach to like the Sunday roast, or even like from just a beer's perspective, some like really creative like craft beer or whatever it might be. Yeah, I think that's really that's interesting as well, just in terms of like discovering like new stuff that people can try out. All right, good. No, thanks for that. I think we've had some good examples in there. Thank you for everyone that's put your hand up there. Appreciate that. Um, and so I wanted to just go into now a few content pillars, starting with we've talked a little bit about the funny videos, and I think a lot of us have sort of had a good pop at that, and we've done some really good stuff. And this is coming back into things that are quite shareable, particularly for those people who either have experience of or currently work in hospo. I think there's some stuff that's particularly been shared recently by some of our pubs where people who know hospo or who currently work in can relate to those things, and it sort of builds that sense of familiarity or trust with people. And I think that's good for those people. So I just thought we'll have a quick look at some of these that are in here now. Let me see if this is going to work in here.
Well, I don't think that we should be together. And I've thought about it a lot, and this is what's gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna keep pursuing what I'm pursuing. And because I'm doing that, it's gonna take up more and more of my time, and I'm not gonna be able to spend as much time with you.
So there, I love that, by the way. Well done to Spencer there at Founders Hall. I think they've done some really great ones recently. But again, it's that thing of like, oh well, this person's breaking up with me, but I'm really concerned with just clearing the plates to the end of the table because I'm a good customer because I work in hospo. It's like very interesting, unique sort of situation there. And then I think this was Red Lion Wivington, this other one here.
The girl we have decided to dump from the island is...
Yeah, so we've all had that thing of, oh, someone needs to go home. Whose turn is it going to be? We need to send someone home early. So again, sort of the funny side of stuff, which is quite, for those of us that know pubs and we work in them, it's relatable. But how can we go further than that and really create something a little bit more in depth that's going to talk to more wider general consumers? That's something that I wanted to get stuck into today. So in terms of pub highlights, we've had some really successful ones now. And just to get you thinking about, these are the types of videos that are possible with a little bit more planning and thought. And it doesn't have to be JW Lee's coming to your pub to do a pub highlight. You can create this kind of content. We'll get into how to do that a little bit later today. We'll take a look at that, and we'll take a look at some of the more sort of other influencer sort of style content around pubs.
The quirkiest country pub. This is why pubs are the best. They provide stories, laughter, family, quirky decor, food, amazing food, beer.
It's just the most amazing little house with 2 rooms, chocked full of characters, laughter, and just weird things.
It's straight down a bumpy little lane, so you get a ride before you've even arrived.
Yeah, I was like a headbanging the whole way down that lane. It was brilliant.
2 things you need to try when you come here. It is the award-winning pies. We had steak and ale, and the cheese board. That cheese board was insane.
There's like 4 or 5 different cheeses, a load of different meats, a huge salami roast.
Yeah, that was
pickles,
gorgeous.
Sauces, olives, and
Crackers
just crackers galore. And you get little cheese cutlery as well.
And they do a wine and cheese night.
And when you're there, get a pint of Bumpy Lane. Obviously so called after the drive up.
After the bumpy lane?
After the Bumpy Lane,
yeah.
Cracking pint. Every single person in there came up and chatted to us.
There was a lot of Daves. There was like 7
different days.
Yeah.
But every person came up and chatted to us. Everyone wanted to tell us about the photos on the walls. Everyone was just really invested in the pub.
Yeah, you felt like part of the family. It just felt so friendly. Like you literally felt like you're in someone's living room.
That feeling of home is right. You know, there's a small baby on site there. It's a family who run the pub. Could have stayed there all day.
We wanted to give a big shout out to Nat, who has recently just become a new mum, and she has been nominated for Women in Beer, which is an amazing achievement, as well as Nat and Dale receiving the Beer Ambassador Award. Long live Tandle Hill Tavern!
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on in there, but I think for me, the stuff that stands out that I like is the storytelling around the pub, the personality, the people, the things that make the pub unique, and having that all put together in a short little package with a nice little voiceover. It just sort of positions the pub in quite a unique place. It builds, when you see the clips there of the community and the regulars and the storytelling about the team, there's a lot of stuff in there that is sort of quite compelling. So stuff to think about. And then just in terms of like wider what other people are talking about, there's this video from Matty here where he's sort of talking about sort of old-timey style pubs, which I think we'll just take a quick look at this now as well.
A lot of pubs are obsessed with modernising, but not this one. This is famous for remaining in the past. From the original wood panelled shutters on the bar to the oak panelled drinking lobby, this is an absolute masterclass in Northern pub history. It's the Swan with 2 necks.
This is a Grade 2 listed landmark in Stockport Town Centre and one of the UK's finest example of a largely unaltered 1920s interior, and it features 4 very distinct rooms. Now, the first door you come to leads to the vault, the least expensive room in the house, where labourers could drink in their work clothes, physically separated from the more refined smoke room at the rear. This original window features an image to represent the name of the pub, but look closely and you'll see it's not a swan with 2 necks. Then we move through to the drinking corridor, my favourite space. This oak panelling and the exterior of the pub with its timber frames are all mock Tudor or brewer's Tudor. This was at its most popular in the 1920s as it was the time of the improved pub movement. After World War I, the government and temperance groups pressured brewers to make pubs more family friendly. Brewers used the Tudor style to try and evoke a sense of history, stability and home. Moving on to the smoke room, a Tudor-style stone fireplace there, carrying on that theme. This seating has original fixed frames with modern upholstery and a skylight which pours in natural light. Now, this is the room that you'd pay the most for your pint in, reserved for the middle-class businessman discussing local Stockport trade over pipes and cigars, but no women, as the whole world was sexist back then. Originally, the pub ended here, but in the 60s, they opened up this room just to get more people in. And this space used to be the backyard where the toilets were. And in fact, the toilets are still outside today.
It's a Robinson's pub.
So Dizzy Blonde and Old Tom are here. There's a selection of the usuals. And the back bar features this super rare wooden shutter. This place is an absolute local's favourite, and everyone is just sound. People sharing why they love the pub.
No jukebox, no noisy kids, just traditional people.
And there's some fella telling me he was the first ever televised birth.
Cesarean birth. You know, all that.
Which was a mental story. I suggest go and have a pint, meet your friends in an old pub and leave happy.
Yeah, man. Alright boys, you enjoyed your visit? All good, yeah? Would you like a swan for the road?
So I think just in terms of what we've looked at there, what some of the things that stand out, it's people, whether it's the team, regulars, personality, location, what's unique about where you are, what's happening in the local area, what's the atmosphere of the pub. If you're dog friendly, you could create some content to highlight that. What's the food like? What's unique about the beers? We've got these JW's ales on the bar. What's the story about each one of those ales? You know, there's things around the fact that we take a lot of pride in our cask ale, and there's a story there to be told about the fact that it's all about that secondary fermentation and so you can do a lot of content around that. There's proper dispense of cask ale, the perfect pour, cozy real fires, beer gardens. You know, is there car parking? Do you show live sport? People love a Sunday roast. You know, there's so much stuff we could do around just the showcasing the fact that it's real gravy and it flows really nicely over those roast dinners. Some pubs have got unique stories. Is there a ghost story about your pub? What's the history of your pub? And all these are just things that we can really create some really interesting stories around. So there's a lot of sort of food for thought there in terms of what is it that's unique about your pub that no other pub can offer. Every pub's got a story to it. And then moving on, there's other sort of content pillars. If some people have already mentioned things around this, but it's that story about what's the process behind the food, and it also sort of applies to the beer as well. There's some stuff in here we could take a quick look at now.
Trabalhando sem olhar pra hora pra poder comprar sem olhar pro preço. Aos 45 do segundo eu peguei o mundo e virei do avesso. Frio e calculista avisou minha conta e não fez preço. Sem palpite na tua visão, tá que eu não mereço. Hoje minha tropa desfila como se isso fosse tendência de moda. Mandado na minha sola, quis ser minha sombra, ficou com a sobra. A tal mãe que me julgava, daria de tudo pra ser minha sogra. Minha vida, minha parte, minha arte, minhas obras. Saca a meta no caixa, pega, dobra. Milionário sem me envolver com casa de aposta. Países, cidades, lugares que hoje minha voz tá. Tudo que nós quer, nós tem, mas nem tudo que nós tem, nós mostra. Levando a vida na risca, minha postura é pra poucos. Diamante no meu pescoço, pérola eu não jogo papo. O que te faz ser grande não é o fato de tu diminuir o uso. Agradeci o fôlego da vida, te lembrei que a vida é um sopro.
Como sabe que tá indo na direção certa?
Andamos pela fé, não pela visão.
So I don't know about you, but I just find that so interesting just to see how each of those dishes are plated, and you can see the skill that's going into the presentation. And I think, yeah, some people have already mentioned this, but it is really interesting from a consumer perspective. And then also with the sort of cask community side of things, or building that awareness, or people are going to be really interested in this. I find a lot of people are when you start talking to them about cask ale, particularly the ones that don't know the difference between keg and cask.
This isn't just for show, although it does look good. The real reason is tradition and taste. This hand pull, or beer engine, was invented in the 1700s, and it gently draws up beer and doesn't disturb it. This is what gives the cask ale its smoother and softer finish. With no added fizz, it's just straight from the keg. Stored right and pulled right, you get this, our lovely Brewer's Pale Ale.
So there's so much you can sort of tell people about cask, and particularly with, you know, we do our cask ale and we look after it really well. So there's just some other stuff to think about in here as well. Things like that, the gravy pour, plating up the food, cask mark accreditation if you've got it. The fact that it's brewed locally, you know, we're only a short distance away in Manchester. So there's some food for thought there, really, just in terms of content pillars. And then in terms of, you know, how do we do this? How do we go about creating some of this stuff? I mentioned at the start, you'll have one of these downloaded and installed. If you've had a play around with it already, great. There are sort of extra bits and pieces. These are optional extras, but I mean, just things to help you sort of with content creation. You can quite cheaply pick up a little tripod for your phone, stand it in a corner, do a plating up video, stand it on the end of the bar, film the proper dispense of cask ale. You can pick these up quite cheaply. And then there's sort of like sound enhancing sort of things as well here, like these microphones here you can pick up. That they're a little bit sort of more on the pricey side, but a good investment. So some things to think about there. And then in terms of just the how, so when we open up one of these apps, I think this is edits, but they kind of like work the same way. So for those of us that haven't used them, because it can be a little bit overwhelming, you'll open up your app and you can click on this little plus here to like drop in some videos from your camera roll. So you'll have gone round and you'll have filmed some clips on your phone for your content. And then you can add that clip in and it will appear here on this little timeline here as a piece of content. You can add as many as you need. And then down here at the bottom, you've got all different settings for adding text, recording a voiceover, which is quite important to this sort of style of content. Options for captions, so you can get it to transcribe any voice that you record in here. So let's say you made a little voice recording over your little clips in here, and then you can tap into this and it'll translate everything that you've said and it'll put it on the screen in those little letters so that people without the sound on can read them. And it's just really quick and easy to do. There's other sort of settings in here. You can play around with filters and different options like that. But effectively, you're just clicking here onto this plus, adding your content in, and you can sort of trim the length of the clips. You can make them longer or shorter. Keeping them short is probably quite better, I would say, just in terms of people's attention span. And so overall, just sort of top tips. Oh, by the way, when you've finished it, you can just tap export here and it'll save out to your camera roll. So let's say you've edited your video and up here, there's this little export button in here, which sort of saves it out. And then you'll have it in your feed to post on your social media post. And then just in terms of overall top tips, for this particular style of content that we're talking about, it's a little bit more in depth, a little bit more editing, a little bit more storytelling. Plan your content out. Plan to keep it short, because we've spoke about attention spans. Give people a reason to watch to the end. So it could be that you have a piece of text at the start of the video that says, watch to the end to see perfect roast dinner, or watch to the end to see the proper dispense of casket, whatever it is. There's some reason to give people to stick around to the end. Record your voiceover, add closed captions, which we've sort of spoke about in there. And it probably helps with doing voiceovers to make it a little bit easier if you just write down a little few words that you want to say for the video and then just sort of record it into the video, and then you can like trim the length of the clips to sort of match what's being said. Add text at the start, so it's a little bit more of like reason to watch to the end, but give it sort of like a title. So at the beginning, when we looked at that pub highlight, you know, Britain's oldest pub or England's oldest pub, gave them a sort of intro to what the video was about, why people should stick around and watch. Remember that people listen without sound, so make sure we're getting those closed captions in, make it make sense without sound. And then importantly, be yourself, show the personality of your business, show the high standards and the best side of your pub, which is going to help us build trust with consumers and help push them towards that advocacy stage of the customer journey. So these are all sort of top tips. We've gone through sort of, the tools, how to do it. It's pretty straightforward, if I'm being honest. You just film the clips on your phone, drop them in here, follow these best tips. And then in terms of when you've done that and you've posted it onto social media, have a look at some of the insights. Just tap in here, if you're on Instagram, tap these 3 dots down here, click on Insights, and it'll give you an overview of how this video is performed. And it's actually really interesting to look at this, and it sort of helps you for planning for future videos, because you can see here it'll give you this retention chart in here, and this will tell you how long people generally watched for. When did the attention drop off. And it's pretty normal to see it, because a lot of people just swipe past videos, so it is pretty normal to see this sort of curve here. But if we can get a little bit more, there's something really compelling, the people will stick around longer, and it might drop off a little bit later, kind of style. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to have a look at the videos that you've posted and see how long people are watching for, and think to yourself, what was it at that point that made someone click off the video? It'll give you stuff like the overall skip rate, the tip compared to the typical skip rate. So you see this video here got skipped less than the typical skip rate, so it was an improvement. And it'll tell you the overall watch time and average watch time of the video. So with all that being said, I know I've been talking for a long time now, and I've sort of plowed through a lot of this. Does anyone have any questions about how to make these types of videos? Now is the time to ask, before we go away for a little bit of a break and then have a crack at doing something a little bit more engaged like this with voiceovers, editing, all that sort of good stuff. Please raise your hand now if you're not sure about something, and I will attempt to resolve that. Let's see. Or are we all feeling confident?
Super confident.
Yes, I love the enthusiasm. Okay, listen, guys. I'm going to say we're going to take a short break now. Go away and have a think about what we've been talking about. It is now it's 20 to 11. So if we come back for 10 to at the latest, and then we'll brief a little task and we'll get stuck into some creativity. All good? Okay. I see you at 10 to. Are we all back? We should be. Almost. It's 10 to, so I'm going to assume that we're all here. And I hope everyone is ready and pumped for this really exciting task that we're going to get stuck into. Okay. So it is time to create your pub highlight. And when I say pub highlight, I'm not expecting you to go away and make something as in depth necessarily as the one we looked at earlier, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a pub highlight. I just want you to make a video that highlights something unique about your pub, whether that's around your offering in terms of beer, food, interesting weird spaces in the pub, what's views from the pub. It could be something specific about your pub that you want to talk about and highlight in a way that is really sort of laid out and matches the sort of process that we've looked at in terms of slightly more edited and curated types of videos, including a voiceover. So the best thing that I would recommend to you is to create a video that sort of highlights the reasons to visit coming up in Feb. Write down a list of key things to highlight. Create your shot list. So get a list of what it is that you want in the video. Bring the clips into your editing software and keep each clip really short and exciting. Write and record a short voiceover. I'm not expecting this to be super long. It just needs to be something that fits that bill of being a little bit edited and a little bit more curated. Add some captions. Have a go at adding music if you can. Export the video. And then once you've done that, I want you to post it on your social media account, because it's going to be so good that you're happy to post it on your main feed this morning. So if everyone is okay with that, we'll crack on. Does anyone have any questions before we jump in?
Historic Manchester Town Hall on Albert Square. Founders Hall Manchester, where great beer, bold flavours and good times come together. Whether you're after casual dining in Manchester, a perfect date night, or a beer fight with 3 unique brews, Founders Hall is your new favourite.
We love our little pub in the Hidden Valley. There's no better place to spend Valentine's Day. 16 days to go. Spread the love at the patio.
Come and join us this Valentine's Day. There's something for everyone at the Pointing Dog.
Valentine's at the Aviator. If your husband or partner isn't taking you out, ask your boss.
Just in terms of next steps for this, I'd like you to think about this in terms of a monthly content plan for your pub, considering the customer journey that we spoke about at the beginning, and remembering that we've got these other different channels in here that we can talk about. So making our sort of video, our pub highlight videos sort of tie in with the other stuff that we're talking with, the other platforms that we're talking on, making it all sort of part of one collective campaign, and making, you know, sure that the message links through. So for instance, you know, you do your highlight video or whatever, and it might be that you do one really in-depth video a month, and you don't just work on it like in a short space of time. You build up a little library of clips, and then you plan it out, and you record a little voiceover about reasons to visit in February, and then you post that onto your story from the feed as well. You can add links to your website. Then on your website, you'll have people that can either sign up to the mailing list if they're not already. You can send the mailer out that then links back out to the video, and you can create this little feedback loop. But again, making sure that we're talking about all the same things on all of these platforms, and making sure that that reel aligns with what we're talking about. So things like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, local events. When's the next like town market on? When's the next park run on near to your pub, or whatever events might be happening locally to you, and making sure that it all fits as part of one cohesive monthly marketing campaign. So maybe make yourself that little list that you do at the start of the month, and you say, this is my one like big highlight video, and this is what I want to be in it. Make your shot list, write your little voiceover, record it, and really you can pin that video to the top of your Instagram profile. You can put a little bit of text at the start that says, you know, reasons, what's on in February, or whatever it is that you happen to be talking about in that video, and then you can unpin it at the end of the month, and make it tie in really with the rest of your content marketing. So yeah, you'll write down your little monthly plan, big highlight video, and then all the other stuff that you want to get out across, like things like Google business posts, events pages, making sure that it's all cohesive and part of one thing. So plan the content, create the shot list, repurpose and reuse old videos when you can. When you've got those really nice gravy pouring shots, or you've got those great shots of the team pouring a pint, you can re-edit them and put them into the timeline on the little editing software that you've got there. You can bring them back in, record new audio to go over the top of it, add your captions and titles, and all that good stuff. Any more questions or comments? We're all good with that. Okay, guys. In terms of today, then, I always appreciate and value your feedback. Thank you for today. There are some upcoming topics that we'll be looking at in February, March, and April. The next one being how to get the most out of our events pages on our websites, how to tap into sort of local search in terms of people on Google, and sort of being aware of what's happening nearby that you can piggyback onto the back of. The next one in March after that is going to be more about like social media planning, planning your content ahead of time, developing that plan, and then also reporting on the results for your own awareness. And then we'll be going back into email. In April, we'll be having another deep dive into Airship, and specifically email marketing for repeat visits, and how that all ties into the customer journey from a marketing perspective. Guys, all the past sessions are available on YouTube. The QR link on the screen now will take you to that playlist where you can dive into past sessions, and they're all broken up into different chapters, so you can skip to different sections and sort of get the most out of that for your time. So this one will be added to that playlist, and I would like to say thank you everyone for joining today. I hope you found it useful. I hope to see a lot more like really structured and sort of planned out videos in terms of highlight type of videos going forward. And if you do have any follow-up questions for me, you can just drop me an email. I'll be happy to pick that up with you separately. But I want to say thank you everyone very much. Go and have a wonderful are we on Wednesday? Yeah, we are Wednesday. Go and have an amazing Wednesday, and I will see you soon. Thank you everyone.
See you guys. See ya. Thank you.
Cheers, Timothy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.